So should we are supposed to segue into a new performance now or new talk? I don't know how to call it, but here I am with Mai for the next
Hello, hello.
hour to talk a little bit about music and how he's doing his project and the overview of the NFT space and how to combine, the NFT vision to your music and etc. and how to maybe does that influence your music in a sense as well? Like, has it made evolve your music since before to think of this new world? All types of interesting questions I think we can get into talking about this project. And so, yeah, Maya and I have been working, most necessarily Mai since a long time, working on his songs to be released. And then I came at the end of the road to give a little help since we met. And I personally absolutely I'm a big fan of everything I've heard from Maiworld since the very early days. I think that's why it also made us having that strong connection. Uh, so yeah, here we are with Mai.
Hey, what up? I'm excited to be able to finally chat about this. Um it seems like every time we want to talk about it, we're like in something else, whether it's like the Mighty My show or we're in a talking about the MVMF and this is going to be a good this will probably be the first time we really go deep on this project, this album and like kind of like this process that I've went through just to really kind of get prepared to even share it in a Web3 sort of manner. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about it, and I'm excited to talk about it with you. Nonetheless, it is funny because our first conversation we ever had, that was one of the very key things I think I remember us like really connecting on was just being producers, like making music. But there was something about the way we were talking about it that really allowed us to we like really understood like what we were talking about at the time, and maybe we'll dive into that. It's just like this. I don't know. It's transcendent of music. It's not just necessarily about music. More just about creating and what it takes to create on a high level, and just like that whole thing. So, um, I'm excited to definitely like go through it. I don't know what you want to do first. I definitely want to play the album. So at some point, but let's talk. Let's maybe like talk about it at first, and then let's try and save like 20 minutes at the end, and we can just play the music from start to finish. Yeah, because it's 20 minutes and 21 seconds. It's 2021 actually. That's pretty crazy. 2021.
Yeah,
Um, what do you? So how should we start? How should we start this? Should we start from like where do you want me to begin here? Because I could go far back, and I think that's kind of something I would like to maybe touch on is just how I even found the Web3 world and where I was before this and what I was doing as a producer, an engineer and making music, where my focus was and how it led me here. Is that a
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like the transition between, the just before you got into Web3 and you had your songs in your bag and a will to start over with kind of a new identity and um,
Yeah.
n- a new sound as well, even though you carry with you some of your sound from that era, because they, I think, catalyze as well your feeling in this transformation. So they have a very particular energy that you can find throughout all your work, and that is very significant of your identity.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, the first thing I guess let's just start back at the beginning, and I'll do a very brief talk about, just how I even came to where I am right now. So, I started off. I played Guitar Hero one day, and then I decided I wanted to play guitar, real guitar. So then I picked up a real guitar, started playing that. Kind of taught myself for like the first 6 months. Then I decided kind of fell in love with the guitar, decided to take lessons, and then kind of it became like half of my life was like playing the guitar. But it wasn't really like something I would share with people. I didn't really consider it part of my identity, so to speak. It was just such a way for me to express myself to myself. Like, I had no real desire to share it with anybody. I just really enjoyed doing it by myself in a way. So it started with that, and then, when I was about to go to college, I was like, "Damn, like, what am I gonna do? I don't really wanna do something basic. I feel like I'm talented and, like, I'm smart enough to figure out how to make this work." But I didn't wanna be that dude that, like, fucking made music, you know what I mean? Like, or, like, said, like, "Oh, I'm gonna try and be a musician and make money." Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody in here probably has went through that thought process, like, "Oh, I don't wanna be like that." So, but I still took the risk. So I went to college for music tech and, learned about producing, met a bunch of producer friends, and just basically got better at combining my love of guitar and just music as a whole, and starting to learn how to actually compose, like, basically tracks, like beats is what, you could consider it, but, um, yeah, we just started making shit. So, but after college, and this is, kind of like the precursor to where we are today. After college, and this is all the reason why I tell this story too, just as a lesson, or like, or kinda like a precursor to all of it, is this really is what the first project is about. A lot of the songs that are on the first project is related to this time period and how I got to where I am today. Um, so yeah, so basically, after college, I started a production team with two of my friends, and we knew this rapper that went to our college, and we were like, "Yo, let's just start making music together." There was no real goal. It was just, "Hey, like, let's just meet up at my house," and we would literally meet in my garage like every week, sometimes 5 times a week, sometimes once a week, and we would just make music. And over the course of those 3 years, we obviously made a ridiculous amount of music. We learned so much. I got so much better as a producer, and just as somebody just helping people create music. And I got my engineering skills up, and I was basically just able to learn how to take music and make it for other people. During that time, I was experimenting with my own stuff, where I would, like, actually put my own vocals over the tracks, but it was never something I took seriously. And even partially today, it's still hard for me to take myself seriously. But um, and maybe that's kind of the part of the play of it, which is kind of like, maybe something we'll get into at the end. But yeah, so when we did that, we found ourselves at the end of that 3 years, because it did come to an unfortunate end, and this is whenever I was kinda at a crossroads. So, I was a producer, an artist, and we had an album that was done with this group of people. There was 2 of my friends as the co-producers, and then, this artist. And so the 4 of us were approached basically by a label, and they wanted to sign this they basically wanted to buy the album, and basically do like an album deal. And this was good situation, from kids that are just making music in their garage, hoping that we can get anywhere, let alone a deal or whatever it is. And so at the end of it, um, it basically, like, kinda like just tore the group apart. It sounds so typical and cliche, but that's what the industry realistically
Mhm.
did to us. We came from such raw, like, let's just go ahead and, like, actually make this music for the sake of making music. No one really, had any further thoughts. So when that happened, it really changed up the vibe, and everybody started to, like, see the money. They started to see the deal. They started to see the potential celebrityism that could come from it. Um, because without mentioning names, we made it to the top of the Pittsburgh music scene quite quickly, to be honest. And then, but that's not saying much. It's just but it attracted names of people that I really, really respected, just growing up in Pittsburgh and, being a fan of the artist that I'm a fan of. So it was like a bittersweet moment. We were approached by them on a good front, but then on the same front, it kind of tore us apart because the deal was trash. Let's just put it as what it was. The deal wasn't a good idea, but a lot of people felt like so desperate in a way. When you're an artist and you're just like making music for the sake of making music, and you need some some money or whatever it is, you're going to be down to do things that might be less than what you're actually worth. And this is just a fundamental problem of the old world, so to speak. So this is all kind of building up to where we get to today. So once that situation kind of died down, I was left basically by myself. I had nothing but my ability at that point. Everybody that I had pretty much worked with had pretty much chosen to go a separate way, or basically, the artist ended up moving to LA, and one of the even the producing team, one of them stayed back, the other one moved to LA's, and it just caused a big problem. And it was kind of like a heartbreaking moment for me, to be honest. It really was. At the end of the day, when you work with people that closely, regardless of any disagreements or anything, it's hard to have to kinda cut off communication, and, like, really just, like, move past that. Like, that's not really the type of person I am. Like, once I have a connection with people, it's not natural for me to think like, "Oh, let's just cut it off and let's not, like, work together anymore, or let's not, like, have communication," whether that's friends and people I've worked with, or, even actual relationships. It's always been a struggle, but but, you know, it's very similar though. It was looked at like a relationship to me in a way, almost like how it ended. So I was by myself, and I just, I was, like I said, I was at a crossroads, and I had no choice but to either kind of double down on myself or go back to like working with random artists and, having them basically leech off of you, which is really what it is, in the old world. A lot of artists like just don't value a producer who's not charging. Like I don't charge people money. I just want to own the track half half. Like if that's what my situation was. But that was just tricky. There no contracts involved and all this stuff. So it was not something I wanted to do. So for the next year, I decided, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start making more of my own stuff. And that's what I did. I kind of just sat in a house and just made as much music as I possibly could. And over the course of that year, I built up a large catalog of, like, half done songs basically. And I'd already had a catalog of like half done songs basically, but I just didn't take them seriously. So that's when eventually I found myself with a bunch of demos, and I just didn't know how to like go forward. I didn't really want to be an artist, but I had myself with all these songs that I had made and everything that I had done in the old world, so to speak, my old producer name, my old team, everything that my name was attached to, I had disconnected from. I had pretty much rebranded and started completely anew, like you were saying, Mighty. And it was a kind of a challenging situation on some level. It's just I had nothing to go off of, so I had to just build from scratch again. And so one day uh I found Audius, and this is actually after I was interested in crypto, but this was the first moment that it really, really dawned on me, like, what this world was gonna be. So this was, literally, this was a year ago, a little over a year ago. It was at the beginning of October. I found Audius, and I was like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna upload 50 demos to this platform and see what happens." And so that's what I did. So I uploaded 50 demos to a platform that I thought nobody would ever find the songs on. And what ended up happening was within a couple days, I'm
Hello.
starting to
Yeah.
yeah, this is where we meet. This is where I meet Connie. This is where I meet some of the Audius team and some people that turned out to be very big in the crypto space as a whole, not just for Audius, but for, the whole team. And, I had these conversations that really inspired me, made me realize like this really is it. This really is this is the future. Like, and it sounds so cliche to all of us, but it was the moment that clicked for me. And I was like, this is the world that my music can live within, that is not going to, make me have to play these games that I just simply don't feel morally correct playing. Which there's nothing wrong playing the old world. It's not like the old world is all bad and all evil. It's just that it's very difficult to have a situation where you're successful and you're not kind of like doing something that you maybe don't really want to do. Whether that's, I mean, it ranges much differently for different people, but basically, it's just, yeah, it's a soul sucking environment. And look, every environment can be like that, but But yeah, so I realized that this was it. So I put all the songs out on Audius, and they were all demos at the time, and that's when we met. Uh, yeah, I can't remember how exactly we had our first conversation, but I believe I met Connie. I met Connie 2 different times for the first time. So once we met in the DMs. I think I can't remember what, but I think I DM'd him about something. It was like, "Yo, like, hey, I'm new to this space, blah blah blah. Like, here's some music I just put up on Audius." And I think he reached back. He's like, "Yo, this is hard," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh shit, like, what up?" And so we chatted. But the first time I actually, after that Twitter DM, before we talked on the phone, I randomly went into his parcel in Cryptovoxels, and he was just in there. And I was like, "Yo, this is hilarious. Like, this is such a weird world. Like, we're just in Cryptovoxels right now, just walking around, and I just run into you." And so I'm talking to him in his parcel, and I'm like, "Yo, who made this for you?" And he's like, "Oh, my friend Mighty 33 did." And I was like, "Oh, I think I've seen his name around." And then, so he tells me, I was like, "How much did he charge?" I was like asking him, like, just typical shit. Like, "Oh, how much is it?" Basically. And he's like, "Oh, he did it for free. Like, he's my boy." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I think I DM'd you, which I don't actually think you ever received. I DM'd you on like Instagram or something, and I never got that back. But I remember you reached out, then you DM'd me and was like, "Yo, is this you?" And I was like, "Yeah," and then we connected based off of that playlist as well, of those 50 demos. So I know I'm, like, basically, like, ranting and, like, not probably properly telling the story, but ultimately, it was this long journey of, me building in the old world, being a producer and engineer for other artists, getting kind of fucked over in a way, or not even necessarily getting fucked over, but having the opportunity to either get fucked over and go into that world, or to completely defy it, destroy everything that I had built, and rebuild again in a new world. And thus spawns my world. No, no, but and what's so funny about the name My World is the name My World was was came up with very, like, way longer, way after um a lot, like, most of the songs that are coming out were made. My World was like a very last second decision. I came up with the name My and My World because of my last name, which is Maimon. At least that's the American pronunciation. Technically, it's Maimon, Maimone. There used to be an I at the end too, so whatever. But the point is it's pronounced My, and so I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." I always have this fascination with this concept of what's mine. And it's a problem for sure. And I mean, if you know me really, really well, I have this problem. But I think we all do to a degree. It's just this concept of being uh thinking that what you create is yours. And this is like where my world kind of like spawned. It really
Mm.
it from that idea is what I create mine. That's really the question. And yeah, and that's really the thing that started to, really be the storyline of this first project, which was I created a world that I had no choice but to live within, but I didn't wanna accept that. I didn't wanna accept that I'd put myself in a position that left me completely by myself in a lot of ways where I'd done so much work to build people together, which is how I'd felt at the time. I felt like, like I said, we were working with a very small team, and we were all working out of my garage for fucking 3 years. You don't expect something like that to end. It's very similar to, maybe have been in a relationship, think it's all perfect, whatever, whatever. It's a little different when it's not a relationship though, because you just don't understand sometimes where that goes from. Whereas, relationships end, like that's a little bit more normal. Well, I don't know. I guess that's a debate too, but so yeah, so like, just getting onto the actual music of this first project. Um, as in Mighty Up, we can like start to dive into the finishing and the finalizing of all the music, because what ended up happening was Mighty and I met, and one of the first things we connected on was just, being producers, engineers, and, having this knack for creating and all that. And, you mentioned that you were a mastering engineer, and I was like, "Yo, this is the one step I simply can't do for my own music." I get too in my own head. I'm like, I just overthink it. I'm like, man, like I'll push it too far. And if you're a producer or engineer, you know what kind of we're talking about here. Is like, you might have the track totally done and you might have it mixed, you might have it good to go, but there's that last step where you want it to sound as quote unquote professional as possible. And this step to me was understood, but it was very difficult for my own stuff. I don't know why it was so challenging for me to do that. So when Mighty stepped in, it was like almost a way for me to give up a sense of responsibility for my own for finishing my own stuff in a way. And it felt like a kind of a weight lifted off of me where I was like able to trust somebody else to help me take these songs to that promised land. And Mighty, I'll let you kind of chime in on this part, but this process turned out to be a very lengthy one. but that's but that there's two reasons for that. Number one, it wasn't just 7 songs; it was like 50. I mean, literally, there are multiple albums completed, and we are just dropping the first one on. I mean, shit. Should I? I don't know when exactly, but it's going to be within the next week. Um, so this album will be out in the next week. But the first one is only 7 tracks, as well as a track before. So there's 8 tracks that are set to drop this week. In fact, we could announce that one of them technically did drop. I stealth dropped it. I'm not gonna lie, stealth dropped it. But we'll get to that in a second, I guess. But basically, yeah, the first the finishing of those songs. I don't know. Do you want to talk about briefly like about that process from your point of view, and maybe if you want to touch on anything else I mentioned, and then I just want to maybe just talk about the actual project itself and what I kind of have in store for people and what people can kind of look forward to this weekend to get your hands on something a little early.
Hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, no, just where you stopped is the perfect segue for me to to explain my point of view. From what you just explained, that taking this responsibility off in a certain way for finalizing your music um, is something that I do on a daily basis now for more than 10 years, and I have the luck to be independent with that. We created this incubator, geniuscorp, just for that purpose, to not work with the industry, but rather look at everything that's under the radar, and looking for solutions, and people that have great talents but don't necessarily feel good in their shoes. Why? Because they are facing the same troubles as everyone, which we mentioned before for the publishing industry, the book industry, but that's the same for many entertainment industry, and of course in the music it's very common that when you're an artist, to get to a degree where you live out of your own music, then it takes a very long time, and most of the time, looking at how the industry is built, you lose a lot of time by people trying to abuse of your trust. And they are in good position to do so. You are in a very bad position to do anything against it, and then the problem is that it's impacting your life. Those bad decisions, those people trying to abuse of your time, etc. So that's something that hurts my heart. When I think of artists, that's not at all what I want for other peers like me. That you know, I know what the feeling is, because I also had experiences, bad experiences across the industry. So I could have analyzed all these mechanism and why it leads to such drama sometimes that are really terrible dramas. But on the other hand, doing that work, meeting artists that are just kind of new artists, or starting something fresh, whether it's the first time, or from like another music life, that yeah, giving in their hands the music that kind of sound like it does sound in their head, but they don't have necessarily have the tool to do it by themselves. is kind of very therapeutic. Like that's almost medical in a sense, because you really relieve the person from such a weight that if you frustrate the creative side of an artist, there's a lot of chance that he can become crazy, pretty much. But if you if you unlock the potential and actually relieve the stress coming from the world, the everyday world, then you have someone that grows faster, stronger, etc. So they feel good in their mind, they feel better in the world, and they actually have, they can touch it, they can control it, they can touch it, they don't need it's theirs, they don't need any appreciation or validation to go further, down the road. And so that really is a therapeutic. I look at it as a therapeutic way to unleash the artist potentials in general, but it's also because I like people to feel, most especially artists, to feel better and by so produce better art. And in the end, that's what I like to see is greater art in general. So and you only create greater and pure art when you feel pretty confident with what you are doing, and that just requires the the whole creative process to be secured in your mind. So yeah, sometimes I see many people kind of like what you said, like I'm a mastering engineer, or but from my perception, it's really like this shaman stuff, kind of where I look at, and that was my feeling when I clicked on your music. You dropped 60 demos onto Audius, not expecting anything, and not knowing if anyone would have contacted you or anything. But actually, when I do so, when I click on new links and that I discover new music, most of the time you have one thing that is good, or two things, or if the artist is very good, then you can find 5, 6, 7 things that you like and might sound quite produced or stuff. But listening to your 60 tracks, I listened to the 60 first of all. So that's already a good sign. But then I was really like re-listened to the 60 again and a third time, where I was like, I love them all. Like it's rare, or I've never seen that personally, to have such configuration where you have such gold in your hands and you're kind of don't know what to do with it, or find yourself in a situation where you don't necessarily know where to go, where to start. But to me, it was like really obvious. I was listening to the 60 tracks and I was like, I can see it. Like that's too easy to see because it's too brilliant. It's not even hard for me to decode what the vision is here. And so not only about sound, but about the energy that was behind and everything. Like I understood straight away because I connected, I think, with the same influences and tastes in general. So I really connected to it, but it was really easy for me to see the vision where at the same time you were kind of lost looking for where to go. And that's where after listening to your music, I was like, is it you? Like you said, just because
Right.
I was just smashed by something that I from so powerful that it's very rare. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you said. Yeah, and it is like that. The role that you play is like that shaman role. I feel that like at that last step, and of course, like that was a challenging process. We would go back and forth a couple times, and it was really just that thing of when am I actually what to do with it, what to go forward with it. And that's kind of what I've been pondering for the last year. Like, obviously a year ago, me putting those 50 demos out was a bit of a step in the right direction for me. But as you got, if you are on that page, I took down all those demos and and we slowly started to finish each one. And, and yeah, it just took me a long time to really see like how can I put myself with this within this Web3 world and like actually utilize this to actually garner the correct value and get the correct resonance for the music basically from the world, however that is. And there's still a lot of things I want to do that maybe I didn't get to achieve on this first go, but I definitely am happy with what I've come up with in terms of how to like put this out and not only share the music but allow people to kind of like join in and have a place to kind of own a piece of it, without necessarily going that illegal route. But yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really rare that and I know this as well because you make your own music as well as produce for other artists. When you can produce for other artists, and that's really where I got my start as a producer was producing for other artists. Of course, I produced my own stuff before that, but like I said, I never took it seriously. So my my craft or my chops were built by working on other artists, and the way that like I did like my own ego gets in the way is it doesn't let me finish my own stuff, but it allows me to finish other people's stuff much simpler, and I can kind of come up with almost better ideas when I work in a group, when I work with another artist, especially if that artist allows me to run when we work. And um it's just really rare that you have someone that can produce, mix, record, write, and do it all themselves, because it's just like it's
Yeah,
a
because
totally
it's
different mindset,
such a
especially if you
long
come.
process. Yeah, it's even for myself. Like it took me literally 20 years to get the whole picture and finally swim like a fish in the ocean with this shaman thing. But like most of the time when I was younger, I thought like, yeah, I understand. But actually, when I was looking at it later, I was like, yeah, it I was missing so much dimensions that have to be taken into consideration. And so composing is something, but when it comes to capturing um, records in particular, it's not only about composing, it's about an energy. And if you don't understand that energy, yeah, you might have the notes right, but yeah, sometimes you have the notes wrong and the energy is there, and that's what counts the most.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's definitely and that transcends like trendiness or transcends like trying to get big or trying to like, oh, I want a million people to know who I am and like listen to my music. It's like that none of that ever resonated for me. None of that ever interested me at all. And it's just more about just wanting to realizing that if you create it, you almost have an obligation to share it. This is something that over the past year I've really had to like come to like a realization, and I kind of have to be fearless myself, like because I know the perception of putting out art and make in people kind of always going to misunderstand or misperceive it and judge you in a particular type of way. But if you create it, like I said, it's almost like you have a moral responsibility to share it, regardless of how it will be perceived. So that was kind of a hump I had to get over, and sometimes like I said, I still haven't figured that out, how to do that. Um, but yeah, I know we only have like 23 minutes left in my particular set. I want to definitely play the album. And it's 20 minutes long exactly. So I want to play it as I want to try and make sure we can get through it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I want to talk about the project a bit, but I don't know how much I can actually go deep on it in terms of like the NFT side of things. But let's just say I will be doing giveaways this event. there are things there are wearables being minted right now, which will unlock um, the edition NFTs for the project. And I definitely want to just share that little piece. And I don't know exactly when that will kick off, but it will kick off sometime in the next 24 hours. And it'll be cool. And I'll say this. One of the there might only I might just group them into one, but essentially, you'll have to find these wearables, and you'll be able to unlock an edition or album edition, song edition or album edition NFT version of the actual project. So yeah, so the first project is called World One, and I see this project musically and like storyline wise really telling about the basically like really explaining like how did I become Maiworld, right? And it's not, and I hate saying that because like how did I become Maiworld? I see it as like not even me. And this is kind of why the Genesis song was what it was. I put the Genesis drop is a song unrelated to World One, but it's like the prologue. So maybe what we can do is I can just pause right there, and maybe what we can do is we could just play we could play Father's tune. I'm down to drop a wearable alpha leak. I can do that. I can
Yeah,
definitely drop the pictures. And then
the
yeah,
glowing ones.
maybe let's play and then we can just kick it off, and then we're going to obviously be pushing the time, but yeah, we'll play the prologue, which is a song that a lot of people already know, but I have added a second verse and finished up the end with Mighty's help. And so we have that, and then we can just play um World One from front to back. Mighty, I just sent you a link uh to the visual, or to yeah, to the album
Okay,
uh
perfect.
playthrough as well. If you want to play, hey, we might as well do this. We might as well do this. I dropped this quote unquote secretly the other night. I wanted to mint my first NFT, and I didn't really want to tell anybody. Um just because I wanted to get it over with. You know what I'm saying? So I did. We're definitely gonna run over, but I don't know exactly what the vibes are. Hold up.
So let me play the tune. Father's tune, available on
Wait.
catalog.
Oh, you have it up? Okay, cool. You got
Yeah.
it.
Why wait till it's your time? Some things won't work out right. Son, it's not waiting for you. God willing, I hope you're right. Wanna see you live that life. Hope it don't take it from you. See, I've been trying to boss up. People trying to take what I make like it won't cost them. Everybody acting so fake, that's when I lost them. Always kept my hands on the strings, I never lost it. People always want me to sing, it's so exhausting. Guess I got a nice little ring, that's why you callin'. See us on a nice little beach right by the water. That's why I started. I'ma finish this shit, it's where my heart is. Why wait till it's your time? Some things won't work out right. Son, it's not waiting for you. God willing, I hope you're right. Wanna see you live that life. Hope it don't take it from you. As hard as it is, I still understand. It's hard to admit when you ain't the man. Should hit on my pops and tell him the plan. Mom doesn't want me to embarrass the fam. Itself ain't sunny. Not everything's about money. Forget it, then everybody will love me. If I don't, then everybody will judge me. It's been a month going sideways, yeah. Limbo like Dante. Can't stop it without me, yeah. I ask and you say, why wait till it's your time? Some things won't work out right. Son, it's not waiting for you. God willing, I hope you're right. Wanna see you live that life. Hope it don't take it from you.
Gee.
Yes, it's
So-
on chain. It's on chain
Yeah.
now.
Should we? I want to like chat a little bit, but I definitely want to just maybe just go right into it because we'll just like take up too much time, if not. But I do. Yeah. So that's the that's like the prologue to everything, kind of, and then World 1 kind of kicks off. A little bit darker vibe, but hey, we could maybe we just kick it off. Just play the album now.
Yes, let's go. And while we are listening to it, let's jump in the world, in the geniuscorp gallery, and throw some fire emoji all across the place.
Hell yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to MVMF. Let's rage.
Yes.
Thing I would say is, when you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you.
This is my world, I created, you can't fuck with me. It's a long life, I'ma live it, you just wait and see. Don't you worry, everybody gotta pay the fee. Shit ain't always free, gotta pay the fee. Yeah, yeah, I just caught a pump from my pops, yeah. Lately we been talking a lot, yeah. Asking me, man, when this shit drop, yeah. This shit gon' get me laid on God, yeah, yeah. I just caught a pump from my pops, yeah. Lately we been talking a lot, yeah. Asking me, man, when this shit drop, yeah. This shit gon' get me laid on God. Don't believe it when they say it won't happen. Now you need it like another bad habit. Give a reason just to keep on acting. If you ain't leaving, then you're stuck with my madness.
The minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing.
Yeah, I just caught a pump from my pops, yeah. Lately we been talking a lot, yeah. Asking me, man, when this shit drop, yeah. This shit gon' get me laid on God. This is my world, I created, you can't fuck with me. It's a long life, I'ma live it, you just wait and see. Don't you worry, everybody gotta pay the fee. Shit ain't always free, gotta pay the fee. This is my world, I created, you can't fuck with me. It's a long life, I'ma live it, you just wait and see. Don't you worry, everybody gotta pay the fee. Shit ain't always free, gotta pay the fee. Gotta pay the fee. I know that you wanna die, and I know that you're feeling shy, but I'ma bring you back to life, yeah. No, I'ma bring you back to life. I've been trying to tell them since a kid, but they don't wanna hear it. Say I'm always full of shit, all alone. Haven't stopped working for a man. Won't wear it less it fits, so fuck it, let's live a life full of sin. You gon' fall in line, now you wanna bid. That's some funny shit. The circle always ends right where it begins. If we ain't realists in the city, then who is? We ain't just some kids try to tell them what the family gon' be rich, yeah. I know that you wanna die, and I know that you're feeling shy, but I'ma bring you back to life, yeah. No, I'ma bring you back to life, yeah. No, I know that you're feeling shy, and everybody tell you lies, yeah. But I'ma bring you back to life, yeah. No, I'ma bring you back to life, yeah. Seen the 45, yeah. Call him on the been no lie, yeah. But I know that you getting high, yeah. And that's just how you getting by, yeah. I know Maybe I'll just be alone in my whole life. They ain't calling on me, but they need my advice. Why you always leave when I need you in the night? Say I'm always wrong, but I know that I'm right. You waited too long, guess you couldn't make it right. I put it in a song, didn't think that I could write. It ain't time to get along, ain't gon' feeding up the fights. I don't know what I am on, seeing demons in the light. What's life? Silence when the speakers turn down. Wait for me, I'll make it somehow. Maybe it's too late for me now, but there's only one way to find out. It ain't this, tryna talk biz, getting caught up in the pitch. Always been a bitch, don't like to reminisce. Caught up in this, get him caught up in the mist. If I ain't the one to do it, then show me who it is. Promise they ain't about to go do it like I did. Promise I don't wanna go through it all again. Sorry if I don't wanna look stupid in the end. Silence when the speakers turn down. Everybody wanna come now. Wait for me, I'll make it somehow. But there's only one way to find out. Silence when the speakers turn down. Everybody wanna come now. Silence when the speakers turn down. Everybody wanna come now. Wait for me, I'll make it somehow. But there's only one way to find out.
It is what it is. But some people aren't that big. They can't see like that. So, I mean, I don't know how I got on this tirade, but it could be the music.
I've been in here for days, been acting kinda strange, but I've been high for days, so really can't complain. Call everybody fake, yeah, you're the one to blame. I wonder when I'll pay. False. I love it when you call. False. I need you, baby, call soon. I love it when we argue. I send the false for you. Been in here for days. I wonder when you'll page. I got my pen insane. I can't get rid of pain. I guess it's part of game, and still I chose to play. Call everybody fake, yet I'm the one to blame. Shame. I love it when we argue. You know I wanna fall.
It's fucked up, dude. I would love to be like I would have loved to be there at every step of the way. I missed out on so much.
Mr. Common. Heard you scheming up a grand plan. You ain't rolling me, you ain't fooling me. Competition got you losing, see. Yeah, real recognize real, I ain't recognize y'all since we got a deal. Last time you were silent still, said just let me know if you need time to heal. I've been so patient, been days since I had a meal. They hate my cadence, I ain't faded, but I feel so disrespected. I learned my lesson, I'll let it be. Man in the mirror, ain't trusting nobody unless it's me. Not unless you family, not unless you pay the fee. Cause God won't let it happen if neither one of us let it be. Mr. Common, heard you scheming up a grand plan. You ain't rolling me, you ain't fooling me. Competition got you losing, see. Yeah, and Mr. Common, heard you scheming up a grand plan. But you ain't rolling me, nah, you ain't fooling me. Yeah, yeah, competition got you losing, see. Yeah, yeah, and Mr. Common. Go this far, give it all to end up with another broken heart. If you know who you are, then you can play the part. And don't you worry, baby, I'll let you wear the star. Call me crazy for wanting things to go my way. I'm not chasing anything because it's shining. I keep climbing, and will I find me? I know I'm trying, baby, but no, I'm hiding. Don't be so afraid of who you are. No one's gonna save you from the dark. You can try and run, but you won't get far. No matter where you're going, there you are. Yeah, and Mr. Common, heard you scheming up a grand plan. But you ain't rolling me, nah, you ain't fooling me. Yeah, yeah, competition got you losing, see. Yeah, yeah, and Mr. Common, heard you scheming up a grand plan. But you ain't rolling me, nah, you ain't fooling me. Yeah, yeah, competition got you losing, see. Yeah, yeah, Mr. Common.
Either the contrast of that, or it's directly related to that. Really, it's just to make you feel better. Ain't gonna feel no better. You gotta be stupid to feel better, dude. I ain't stupid, that's my problem. I ain't motherfucking stupid. So I can't, like, press down. Jesus Christ, and go to a goddamn fucking church. I'm so good. I ain't never gonna feel good. I'm forever a fucking motherfucking rebel. What the fuck kind of existence is this?
Maybe you should leave. Maybe you should leave. It's getting hard to see. Maybe you should leave. Yeah. No, it's getting hard to breathe. Maybe you should leave. Yeah. No, it's getting hard to see. Maybe you should leave like everyone else. Why the fuck you even here? I'll do this by myself. Always focused on my fears, now I'm summoning help. I've been wasting all these years, think I need me some help. Whoa, 6 walls and I'm resting on the 7th. Just remember that the devil was from heaven too. I'm fucking up, thinking that you won't regret it. You still in love, or maybe should I forget it? You should leave. Yeah. No, it's getting hard to breathe. Maybe you should hard to see. Whoa. Maybe you should.
Walked around the beach, still was it safe? I know you're leaving, but it's never too late. I am becoming everything that they say that I am. Yeah, I've been wasting all my time, wondering what's on your mind. Don't know, can't admit it'll all be fine. Just don't let me fall behind. I don't care about a threat, I don't care about a check, I don't care what I said, I don't wanna see you again. Yeah, I wish you the best, yeah, sure we're still friends. So it's been about respect, you ain't got another level.
She don't want me anymore, I'm too pale. Got some receipts that would put me in jail. Please don't believe what you see when you're hell. I could love me, but I'm with someone else. Nothing new, it's always me, it's never you. You wanna leave, you always do. We both agree, just know I know.
I've been wasting all my time, wondering what's on your mind. Can't admit it'll all be fine. Just don't let me fall behind. I've been wasting all my time, wondering what's on your mind. Can't admit it'll all be fine. Just don't let me fall behind.
But it's still the same. I know you're leaving, but it's never too late. I am becoming everything that they say that I am.
And I'm not. Say it over these, you don't care and I lie. Neither do we, neither do I. Feeling me free, you know it's better to I wanted you to be something bigger than I was. I wanted you to be that. That's why you got that name. It meant a lot to me. A name doesn't mean anything unless somebody imbues it with meaning. And I'm telling you, your name is significant, but it meant something to me to name you that. Like, you are gonna be something, dude. You better be something or I'll come fucking find you. Then I gave you a book. Visions of Code.
And here it was, the World One album.
Damn.
Yeah, it's something.
I do. Yeah, that was a. I always do like listening to it from front to back. There's some moments where I'm like skip, but no, it's a. But it is it's a good time. I like listening with everybody. I appreciate all the comments. It's very encouraging. I'm excited to share it this week. It's gonna come out this week as well as my first NFTs are dropping this week as well. There's gonna be a range from one of ones to some additions, and I'm gonna be basically giving out a large amount this during this festival and to the community over the next week or two. But yeah, very excited to share the music and get people involved. But yeah, I appreciate everybody listening. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I know we're at 2:05.
Yeah, because Jonathan Mann has already started, and we're about to jump into the Mask DAO stage. I definitely appreciated listening to all the first world one in a row, and hearing the story. I know it's short, and we could talk all day about it, but yeah, this is the MVMF, the live first, and how do they say on TV? Priority on direct or something like that. Priority on the live. But yeah, let's not wait any longer. And thank you, Mai.
Thank you, Mighty. And thank you to everybody at the MVMF, everybody in the chat. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you, Foxy Yoga,
And
Natalie,
make sure
Carolina,
that
C Sessions. Appreciate everybody. Yeah. But yeah, let's let's MVMF it up. Where are my
yeah,
MVMFers?
yeah, and we'll definitely get back to it later on. But now, place of the music.